What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Country Cast. Breaking into the country music industry, well, really the entire music industry, is very tough to get into. And for most folks, they will spend several years working odd and end jobs just to make ends meet in order to fund their dream of becoming a Nashville recording artist. So today, we are going to dive into some of the biggest names in the business and share their very wild, interesting, unbelievable, and just pure nasty jobs that they had before actually breaking into the country music business. So let's kick things off with a man who is absolutely crushing it right now in country music, Mr. Cody Johnson. Cody Johnson is known for singing about the rodeo and the life of a cowboy. And if you didn't already know, Johnson was a professional bull rider. He was 15 years old when he rode his first bull and went on to make it a career for some time. Cody Johnson interviewed with Billboard magazine back in 2021, where he had this to say about his initial career choice. He said, "I saw a challenge and I wanted to accomplish it. I was good enough to get by. I had just enough of a taste of it to keep me going, and I really never expected to fail." Throughout his time bull riding, Johnson found himself dealing with a slew of injuries, broken bones, to include his ankle, clavicle, and several ribs. He also had several surgeries on his sinuses, but the biggest injury of them all was to his pride. During an interview with The Boot, Cody said, "I guess I don't really have a lot of scars other than my pride. My pride has so many scars." Once Cody made the decision to move forward in his life and make a career change, he landed a job as a prison supervisor for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Like many in that line of work, it was already in his bloodline. His father previously worked there for 32 years. In another interview with Cowboys and Indians, he detailed that career path at the time, explaining that he initially started in intake, eventually worked his way to maximum security, and finally ended his prison career as a field boss on horseback. Now, what's pretty cool about this is that the warden of the prison that Cody worked at actually encouraged Johnson to leave the job and set out for his career in music. I'm sure Cody has some stories that he could tell, but for now he is leaving behind one hell of a mark in country music. So while we're on the topic about past rodeo folks who made it big, let's go into our next country star, Miss Reba McEntire. That's right, Reba was an exceptional barrel racer, and her dream was to actually become a world champion barrel racer. Singing was not her first priority. Reba was a cowgirl through and through, and not only was she barrel racing, but she also worked alongside her father raising cattle. McEntire had shared some of what she was tasked with during those days, where she went into detail on how her and her dad turned bulls into steers. Reba said, "I would stand behind the bull and hold his tail, while Daddy sliced the sack and cut the cord and let the testicles fall. Daddy would pass the testicles to me, and I'd put them in a bucket." A lot of hard work throughout those years, and the hard work paid off, and all of that hard work in the rodeo and on the ranch paid off to the point where she has the rodeo to thank for breaking out into the music scene. Reba McEntire, if you remember, sang the national anthem back at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City in 1974. And that performance is what got her noticed by fellow singer Red Steagall. And well, you can say the rest is history. The crazy thing is, Reba didn't even have the worst and nastiest job out of the stars. We're going to save that brutal one for the last one. Moving on to two of the biggest artists in country music, Luke Combs and Garth Brooks. What's interesting about these two is that they both are record breakers and have taken this genre by storm in their own way, and they both had the same job before breaking into the big time. Garth Brooks and Luke Combs were both bouncers at a bar, Now, could you imagine being tossed out of a beer joint by Luke Combs or Garth Brooks? That'd be a pretty epic story, I guess, if you could tell it today by whoever they have tossed out in the past. But Brooks bounced at a local bar near where he grew up in Oklahoma, while Luke bounced at a bar during his college years at Appalachian State University, also local to his hometown of Boone, North Carolina. Just interesting there to look at both of their career paths and what they have done prior to being famous and while being famous. Garth Brooks and Luke Combs are sort of on a very similar trajectory on how they began their careers. Moving on to our next artist, Kelly Clarkson. Now, if you can believe it, you may at one point received a call from her that you quickly hung up on because Clarkson used to be a telemarketer. But that is not all that she did. She also did sales. She was a vacuum cleaner salesman. But if you look at it, it makes sense with her lively personality, and plus she is a host of her own talk show, so she clearly has the gift of gab. Probably also explains her work as a cocktail waitress as well. However, as we all know, she was the first winner of American Idol and has become a megastar in the industry. Funny enough though, her counterpart on The Voice, Blake Shelton, had a little bit different of an early life surrounding his job choice. More boring, if you will. Blake Shelton at one time dubbed cassette tapes. You know, where you play one tape and press record on the other to get the recording on the new tape? Some of you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but yeah, that probably was like watching paint dry. But again, Kelly Clarkson and Blake Shelton shot way beyond that point in their life and are huge stars, not only in country music, but the entertainment industry as a whole. Holding down a job and focusing on making it someday is a brutal challenge, and so many of the artists in the industry have made it happen. But there is one guy who probably had the worst job of them all and just the nastiest experience. Last but not least, today is the man himself, Dierks Bentley. Before Dierks Bentley hit the spotlight, this man was emptying out houseboat toilets. Not same day, but next day or even up to a week or hell, even longer after it being out on the water. Bentley worked at Arizona's Lake Powell, and after folks would rent these boats and return them, Dierks had to clean the 250-gallon toilets. Bentley shared a pretty gnarly story about one of his times out on the lake and said it usually had a week's worth of stuff in there, from 10 to 12 houseboat guests. 10 to 12 people, guys. 10 to 12 shitting in this thing. Once the old machine used to empty the toilets backfired, sending the hose and stuff straight up into the air. I tried to outrun the rain and got nailed. I'm pretty sure everybody out there has their own story of some jobs that we've all held at one time that we look back on and realize, damn, that was a pretty hard job. But you know what? That's why we're here today. This is where it got us. We have our own paths that we take, but these country artists, again, go out here and try to fund themselves as they make it into the business. And these guys have led some pretty brutal jobs, also some noble professions. And if you have any stories of any previous jobs y'all have had out there, let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear what you guys have done in your lives. That will be it for today on Country Cast. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn those notifications on as well so you never miss out on any breaking updates surrounding your favorite country artist and all the news coming right out of Music City. Y'all stay country.